everybody. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a special guest. We have Adam Free from Adam Stargazing Astrology. Welcome, Adam.
Diane, thank you so much for having me on your channel.
You are welcome. And if anyone's like, Diane, you have like this weird background. For those of you that have been following me, you actually know I started my channel on my bed and my office is being renovated right now. So I am back on the bed for a few more days. It's amazing. Everything comes full circle. So I see we have some people coming in. Hello, Diana and Roberta. Welcome. I know like everybody's worried about the storm, and Adam and I was just talking about that a couple of hours ago. I put out a healing video that you guys can watch whenever to send some healing energy to Florida. We did like energy balls. I lit a candle, called in some archangels. So you guys can watch that video and do that whenever you want. Oh, good. Okay, everybody's coming in. Perfect. Hi, Faye, Mary, Sandy, Marilyn. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, so talking about the storm, and you made a connection with astrology and the, what we're having right now. Because I mean, it seems a little bit extraordinary, with the weather. This seems a little bit unprecedented, what's been happening. So what's the connection?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So first off, for everyone, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel,
yes,
Astrology, please watch any past videos that may be of interest to you, and please subscribe. And I'm currently offering astrology readings for a competitive price, and that information will be in the description box. That will be my email, my contact email for reading inquiries.
Perfect. I already did put your link below in the description box to your channel. Just to get something up, just to make sure that people, would get over there. So yeah, please subscribe to Adam's channel because you're over 3,000 subscribers now, I saw.
Yeah, I'm at about a little over 3,300.
Nice.
Building slowly but surely.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is a great question. You know what? As Diana, as you know, as astrologers, as psychic, as tarot card readers, what we really do is we really strive to see things from kind of like a holistic perspective. Gives us that bigger picture, gives us just that bigger mindset, increases our intuition. So there is some really interesting things going on with astrology now. The first thing that I wanted to mention, which is really exciting, and I know I've been talking about this for like months now, is the planet Pluto, which represents those power structures. It has now pretty much finished its last retrograde or review motion in Capricorn, which represents distinct kind of old school patriarchal structures. And on Friday, it's turning stationary. Then it's going to go direct, and it'll soon be in Aquarius now, never looking back to Capricorn for the next several hundred years. Yeah, so people like you, Diane, Aquarius, and Aquarians out there, those very much into kind of new wave thinking, humanity, humanitarianism. Pluto, which is power structures, and Aquarius now will represent that. So what happens is, because Pluto is generational, this is slow moving. So we're not going to see the change happen overnight. But so looking back now. So that being said, Pluto also represents death, rebirth, and transformation. So now we just got Hurricane Helene, right? Which is kind of Plutonian, right? Now we're seeing what's going on with with Hurricane Milton, and if this is a big cry for a much needed wake up call for the care of the environment, if humans are still going to be surviving in a certain amount of years. And now we know Republican ideologies are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
And no longer working. So my intuitive take on this is that these big hurricanes that are going to happen, there may be a good chance that they may shift and move and shake people towards perhaps the more blue because of like the environment.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, everything happens for a reason. I had two thoughts. One is we're ascending, we're purging, and detoxifying, and so is the planet. The planet's purging all that negativity that it's been absorbing for the last few centuries. It's getting rid of all of that. But also, two, it's getting people to now look at these Republican leaders that are not being supportive. They're not helping. They don't have policies in place that are going to help them now, but also help them in the future. I mean, Project 2025 would first of all get rid of NOAA, how we monitor our weather systems.
Yeah.
They want to get rid of FEMA with that Project 2025. And so I think it's going to turn a lot of people that were supportive of Republicans towards the Democratic side, because they're going to see that it fails. Even though I do know, and I actually personally know a few people that think this, and I'm not making this up if this is new to any of you, that there's a lot of people that follow 45 who truly think that Democrats are creating these storms, that we have some kind of special technology, and it's around election time and it's happening to red states and it's being engineered, which I think, I mean, it's frightening because, like, I actually talked to somebody the other day that really truly believes this, and is terrified. And it's like I could just feel for her, but I was like, this is also ludicrous that that we would control weather for an election. And I mean, it's no, I agree with what you're saying. We need to take better care of the planet. Astrology is a huge factor. We're going through a major change. Aquarius is going to bring about, I think, a lot of more progressive thinking.
It's really interesting you say that, because I actually had a talk with some individuals who used to be blue and then now they're staunch red, and they believe that almost all Democrats get 7 ballots each. I don't know why they came up with how they came, and that's basically why the Democrats have won, because everyone gets 7 ballots. That's a Democrat. Where that came from or how that came about, but poor thing. Those people are just they're ignorant. They're stuck in the past. And I'm sorry, but now if you're that ignorant, that's your fault.
It's just sad. Like part of it just makes my heart hurt because they're so brainwashed. It's like you just want to say, wake up. Like the facts are in front of you, but they make their own reality and they truly believe it. And but also too, as somebody who's worked in lockdown units for the bulk of my life, that's exactly what people in lockdown units do. But they're in a lockdown unit for a reason, and it's because they've created these realities that don't work outside of that unit. But these people are amongst us, and then what are they going to do when he loses come November? I think they're going to be very upset because they're so delusional. I mean, they're really believing he's the savior, and their savior is not going to get reelected. He's going to prison or whatever that version is that he gets. It's not going to be presidency, that's for sure. But it's like, I'm worried about these folks.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed too? There's been a softening all of a sudden with the Supreme Court. They're being better little boys and girls because I think they're seeing the writing on the wall.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, just what if now? What if? So, so that's something to be said.
Right. And I think since we've spoken last, Alan Lichtman did make his announcement with the 13 keys.
He did.
And he's never been wrong. And I still agree with him about Al Gore. They should have finished, counting the ballots and whatnot. But yeah, he's never been wrong. So he is predicting Kamala, is going to win. And really, I don't see anything changing,
No. She's very much in alignment with the astrology too. So the planets Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which all rule the generational aspects, are all moving signs. Shortly after Pluto, so that's kind of like a rebirth. So, for example, the planet Neptune, which rules idealism, spirituality. So there's more of kind of a holistic sort of mindset in Neptune. That's going to be going
Mm.
into Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, which is really the birthing of new beginnings.
So the full moon is coming up next week, and that's in Aries,
Yes, yeah, full moon in Aries.
right? Does that matter? Like, does that have like an impact on us in some way?
That's a good question because I did do a forecast for the full moon. Um,
Oh,
so what's going to be happening is, so in the middle of the chart, there's what's called the aspect grid, and it's the relationship between the planets. And there is so much dynamic going on. There are several major aspects all going on at once. So, 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 like, what is happening here? First of all, one of the big aspects is called a grand square. So squares, they represent like soul challenges. Um, they activate things. It's like a unit of energy. It's like a concrete block unit of energy. It's weighty. It's heavy. Um, so that is also being aspected by what's called a T square, which is an active
mhm.
square. So T squares, a lot happens in a small amount of time. And some of the planets involved in this are Mars, which represents energy, and then Chiron, which represents our collective wounds. So our collective
Mm.
are being heavily activated right now with this T square. Things are being brought up for people. For example, the I was watching a video clip of a weatherman in Florida, and he was starting to cry. Um,
Yes,
did you see that mentioning
I did.
how intense this storm was going to be? He was like,
Yeah,
so it's activating, it's reaching people on this collective wound of
right.
that we've been going through. This collective. This. Everything that involves that, and there's a lot. Um, so that's going to be happening again. It's aspected to Mars, and Mars represents energy, so it's packed with energy. Mars can also mean things like disasters, accidents,
Mm.
chaos, challenges. And that's an aspect of the sun sign, which represents our collective vitality. So that is also
Mm.
a challenge right now as well, our collective health.
Right.
So that is also being aspected by a grand cross. So if you think of a grand cross, that's like a cross to bear. So those are the really intense aspects, but on top of that, there's this beautiful grand water trine, which represents like increased intuition, synthesis,
Mm.
together, harmonization. So it's a
Mm.
bit of a crazy time right now. If you can kind of look in within yourself and get quiet, there there is a lot of there's a lot of release to be done right now. A lot of emotional
Mm.
that can be activated through the water grand trine. The water's the emotion, the emotional body. Um,
Mm. Water, because I'm just thinking like of that storm surge that they're saying, like it could be up to 15 feet, and like water, like I was thinking like we're detoxing, we're purging, like the
uh,
earth is, and we are too.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And what's so
Mm.
interesting, that grand trine, so it's involving the planet Neptune, which is the god of the oceans.
Right.
It, it's in a
Yes.
harmonious aspect to Mars, which
Okay.
represents, well, Mars Neptune trine is actually more harmonious. It would be like kind of a big gentle rolling wave that sort of shakes you about, but it's almost like a cosmic rolling wave, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
um, and then those are aspected to Venus, which represents our value system, our relationships. So this is also a wonderful time for relationships coming together, relationship healing, relationship clearing,
Mm.
emotional release. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff happening all at once.
Mm-hmm. And the grand water trines are very conducive towards intuition,
Right.
increased intuition. So it's like everything is happening right now, but our intuition is also really heightened by this aspect.
Interesting. So,
Uh,
so like maybe a lot of people having like say premonitions and prophetic dreams and getting like that gut instinct and
mhm.
which is nice. I mean, that's actually, I think that's a good thing.
It's under, being based on the intuition. There's the ability for synthesis with the water grand triangle, kind of connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, kind of being able to put things together.
Right. Somebody asked a question. I mean, I know how I would answer this, but I'll see what you say too.
Yeah.
Soul asks, I heard on the news that Trump wants to go to Gaza. Do we think that he's going to stay there? I don't even know if he's going to go, but I don't see him running. I mean, he's surrounded by a million Secret Service.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way I see it is Trump says whatever Trump wants to say.
Right.
So that's one thing, but the reality is, there's a really good chance he's going to lose, and no one's going to really want anything to do with him after he loses. Anyone in power, because he's not going to be worth anything.
No, and I really think that's when we see like peace in the Middle East come, because it's almost like I think Netanyahu is waiting to see like, okay, is 45 going to win? Because I really kind of feel like that meeting at Mar-a-Lago that they had, I think 45 tried strong arming Netanyahu into like prolonging it so he could be the president that brought peace to the Middle East.
Yeah.
And I think once Netanyahu realizes, like, yeah, okay, he's really not getting in, I think that's when we see an end to it.
Yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court's already realizing that.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, you can see like there's some realizations, and even with his own campaign, they're not investing in the campaign anymore. They're investing in how they're going to contest the results.
I know, already, it's so true.
Already, I mean, it's October. It's the beginning of October, and that's where their focus is. And it's interesting how. Well, I don't know if it's interesting, but it's very telling that he's not doing the 60 Minutes interview. The fact that he declined, so it's going to be all Kamala. She's doing it. But I mean, for someone who loves to talk and loves to talk about himself, and it's right before an election, I am going to say his advisors were like, just stop talking, please. Just stop talking.
Yeah, they probably said, yeah, silence is better. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if anything does make sense with him, but yeah, I think his advisors are like, you just need to just stop talking at this point. And even with the debate, like I haven't even talked about the debate really, but Vance did okay in the sense that he was standing upright and speaking, but I mean, but there's like a few interesting moments where it was like, I was told that you weren't going to fact check, and it's like, that's a weird thing to blurt out in a debate. And then when towards the end, he refused to say that, Biden won and he's our president and, that kind of thing. Like, so I think the advisors have probably said to both Vance and Trump, just stop talking.
Probably no talking's better. Another thing too was, would Trump, was he scheduled to be with Kamala on 60 Minutes, like together in like the same space?
I got the impression they were supposed to have separate interviews, like not a debate type thing. Like they're just supposed to have like their own interviews.
Okay.
And he declined. I mean, for somebody who loves to be interviewed, who loves to talk about himself, somebody in his camp said, stop talking. Because even Vance was kind of holding his own. I mean, he was making up facts during the debate, but he was kind of, in his own Vance way, making up facts, but holding his own. But then it started to get really weird too, like, I mean, they can only go for so long without saying something really damaging.
No, it's very true. As of now, the more they stay, probably is not going to fly. But with the little base, who basically he can say whatever he wants with his little base.
Well, right, because they say, you didn't understand what he said, but then, what he said isn't what he meant. Like they make up these excuses, and it's like, okay, so what?
What's
I mean,
going on?
and the conspiracy theories at this point, and then the fact that he put out all of this false information about the hurricane relief and aid, and that is just terrifying. I mean, because there's people that are still reeling from Helene. The cleanup still hasn't even happened fully from Helene. I mean, so it's all going to be like shrapnel. Everybody's like furniture was all sitting out there, and it's going to be coming at hundreds some odd hour winds.
Yeah, they're gonna get
Right, it's just going to be like flying, and then you have 45 putting out totally false information, and and his camp is all saying it's being engineered by the Democrats, and it's only happening in red states for a reason to stop them from voting, and
yeah.
it's like, oh, for heaven's sake.
I know he is just on. He will say anything, anything.
And so will his people, and so will Vance.
Yeah.
Whatever suits them.
It's engineered to try to mess up the election, the storms. I mean, like that ridiculous. It's just like whatever.
I mean, like, it's not those states that get hit by hurricanes, right? I mean, it's those states that get hit by hurricanes. And this is hurricane season. He was even trying to say this wasn't hurricane season. This is hurricane season.
Oh yeah, and hurricane season now is going longer.
Yes, it's starting earlier and going longer.
I mean, the bottom line is if you're a Trumper, you probably have very low intelligence level, so you believe that.
So somebody asks, is he going to be held accountable for the lies for this bout?
I mean, I mean that's a good question.
He should be. He should be, but
he still does whatever, which is amazing. He like using other individuals' music for his campaigns without. He still does whatever he wants. We will see though as the tides turn in the next couple months, and he continues to drop. Just you wait, everybody.
Right. So I mean, are there some things coming up, like astrologically for him?
It's a slow
one way or the other.
Yeah. So I did their transit chart. So those are the planets that are transiting in relation to the. I did those for the election November 5th. So Trump's chart is actually pretty basic. There's not a lot going on. He has a highly aspected Jupiter, meaning that he's gonna think he won. Jupiter's overextends. Jupiter's that larger than life. So he's gonna really claim he's gonna claim victory with this. He's gonna feel lucky. That's really one of the major things. We're gonna see very much typical Trump here. Another thing is he has some aspects with Uranus and Mars showing that some unpredictability, and with Mars showing that there might be some aggression, some anger, some outbursts. But this transit chart, I looked at it, I assessed it, and then I sort of like did the intuitive scan, to get the feel.
Right.
Not typical Trump. Kamala is a whole different story.
Really?
So interesting. So she has some like pretty intense aspects going on. So she has a grand square in her transit chart. So those require inner strength and determination. Those are all about like initiation, overcoming obstacles, facing those confrontations. So there's gonna be just a lot more like inner. I almost see this as like a real strong initiatory time for her, where she's gonna have to sort of face just a lot of intensity kind of head on as just part of like her growth process as represented by the astrology. Um, so she has Pluto, highly aspected Pluto, which is transformation. Her Pluto's going to be transiting through the first house, which is all about new beginnings. So
Okay.
I thought that was quite interesting. Um, her, let's see here. Um, so those are going to be some of the intense things. She's also going to have to really stay grounded here. The reason why is because she has some of those Jupiter kind of out of bounds Jupiter aspects, like Trump.
Yep.
She's not like Trump at all, though, but she needs to kind of stay grounded with these, because sometimes these Jupiter aspects, they can bring an individual to kind of assuming something, right? Sharing something when it's not necessarily the case. So that being said, um it's gonna be typical Trump, and some transformational experiences for her.
Well, I'm wondering too, like if these hurricanes are going to affect her in a certain way, because she, I mean, for her, well, first of all, she's the vice president, so I mean, for her to address a hurricane would be normal, but she could also, definitely as a candidate use these moments to really step up. And I mean, but so could Trump, and instead of stepping up, he did the opposite, I felt, and just completely lied, and and said the money's all being diverted towards illegal immigrants, and you guys aren't getting anything, and like just being total lies. But this could actually be an opportunity for her to step up and do more, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because she has several aspects that involve her opportunity to play in with the collective here. Her opportunity to play into collective insights, to do things, to do acts that kind of tap more into where we can move forward from this, where we can come from this. And she also has an aspect too in relation to her sun sign with the South Node. The South Node stands for the past, and it stands for kind of our tool belt that we come in with. So any aspect of the South Node, it can come with like sort of a natural ease. So in the sun sign, the sun sign represents leadership. So this is
Right.
opportunity for her to really stand in that leadership. Um, and there's an aspect with her Chiron, which stands for the wounded healer. So yeah, so Chiron, it's really interesting. So everyone out there, if you don't know the placement of your Chiron and its aspects, it has so much to do with inner wounds, growth, healing, transformation, and then transiting aspects to those have so much to do with how we grow and how we heal and how we overcome things. So she has this aspect where she's really learning about her inner strength by facing
Right.
frustrations, limitations, and things like that. Because running for what she's run, I mean, you're like, you think like the president. Trump thinks the president, I'm on top of everything, I can do what I want. But with her, it's like, I'm the president. That's going to be a big weight, because I have a lot of ability.
Right.
You know?
I was wondering too is if she, because I am worried about Biden. I've been a little bit worried about him and how he's been feeling and his health and stuff. If she has to step up and do more presidential type duties, even
Oh, like
um, in the next few weeks, next few months, before she's inaugurated, and all
you know,
that.
I with these aspects, having to kind of step up, chase the she might, with that grand square, as mentioned before,
Could
requiring
make sense.
determination. Um, mm-hmm.
Somebody asked, when will the media stop covering Trump? Honestly, I don't think they're going to stop until the trials are over, but the trials are going to go on forever. I mean, it'll be like I don't know, like when until he passes.
Yeah. You know what's kind of interesting? And Diane, I know we kind of talked about this last time. Um, Something about Trump just kind of like dropping off the map. Um, you know, after he loses, um, and instead of the trials going on for months and months and months.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many, like, I mean, there's so many trials, like, and people keep asking, like, well, is he going to be held accountable for this new thing? Is he going to be held accountable for this new thing? And it's like, well, it's kind of take a number because there's so many big ones.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. So, I mean, and now, mind you, you have to be subscribed to my channel for a while to comment. So somebody actually commented, Trump was the only one that went there, donated millions, and helped. But the media didn't cover it. And it's like, yeah, he literally right now is grifting. He has the $100,000 watches that he's selling. Yeah, no, he's actually prevented people from. He did raise some money, but here's the thing: it is so sketchy about what is going on with that. And when you try to fact check, because he did raise something, he did. But when you do the fact checking, it's very confusing about what percentage is actually going to the people. Um, like every outlet that I looked at gave a different percentage, some as low as 3% of what he raised actually went to people. So yes, he did raise money. I won't disagree with that part of it. But at the same time, what was a grift and what was an actual fundraiser? And I think that's the thing.
There you go. He's pocketing 97%.
Well, right. I mean, when you actually fact check, because I was like, wow, that's really unlike him to do this. So let me start looking. And as I start fact checking, I'm like, well, you know what? I can't get an actual real answer on this one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know. Let's see. There we go. We're gonna get rid of that crazy person. um, so yeah, so I mean, we have the full moon coming up next week in Aries. Today, Jupiter goes retro in Gemini. Pluto goes direct this Friday. And I think we're just all kind of feeling all of it at the end of the day. Right?
So Jupiter in retrograde is interesting because what happens is Jupiter represents our faith. It also represents our moral compass. And when it goes retrograde, the moral compass, our faith, our moral compass, it gets reviewed. So what's happening now with all the storms and people's faith, there's a big a big review time for where we place our faith with things.
That makes sense. And like a lot of my viewers know, like I channel the Rock Collective, and one of the things that they say is when something horrible like this happens, it's oftentimes a catalyst for the rest of us to step up and be of service to others. Because like we can all help out in little ways. There's something that we can all do. I mean, my passion is, animals. And so I have definitely stepped up and helped with the because here in Mass, we are taking some of the animals already. We're taking some of the cats and dogs. So, I donated to them to make sure that, to help make sure that they get what they need. And it's amazing how like they're already evacuating. Like, I mean, I guess the animals have already made their way up here.
Wow.
So like we can all do little things, even if you just give a few dollars, it all it adds up. But I think these horrible things sometimes happen, because it will restore our faith in humanity. And like I always believe that there's more good people than bad.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't like 45.
Yeah. A lot of the people that vote for him are just very ignorant. That's a big thing.
Well, that's the thing. And I think they live in fear. They're very fear-based. When I've talked to them, they believe everybody's out to get them. They're very scared. Like, I don't know what went wrong in their lives. where they actually think that this person is like the Messiah. But, but
Yeah.
like I always say too, I mean, as Democrats, we're voting for our president. I like Kamala, but I'm not confusing her for Jesus.
No, yeah, these bizarre religious
Right?
ideologies, I don't, I'm not quite sure where they come from. I don't really know.
But I think because they need something. I think these people need
Got it.
something to believe in. They need something to save them.
Okay.
I mean, I feel bad for them, but at the same time, it's like they're doing more damage to our planet than good.
Yeah,
And I think some will wake up, but some of them aren't going to,
yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
but oh my gosh, that's a lot of astrology though, in a short,
Oh yeah.
condensed amount of time. A lot of things happening.
Yeah, lots happening right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people are feeling it, and I think too, like I mean, I always say like I'm not sensitive to like weather patterns, but even I am feeling this. Like I am feeling some of the anxiety and the stress with particularly this hurricane for some reason. So I'm thinking this is not going to be good, and I hate the fact that it seems like it's going to be striking in the middle of the night. Um, Not probably the best time for folks. So I'm
Yeah,
sure not everybody evacuated, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting that 45 stole, that's what I thought. 45 stole money from FEMA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comment. Yeah, that's in the past. That's what I thought. Yeah, because they are making this big deal that he raised all this money, but where is it? Like, so because now people are like, okay, great, we donated, and where did it go to, and what percentage, and then before you know it, now we have the $100,000 watches. So,
And
um,
I also know another thing about disaster relief aid is that when he was president, he didn't want to give any state that didn't vote for him aid. I'm over here in California, and we get fires that just tear up the state, and he was just like,
yes.
"You didn't vote for me as a state."
I remember, right? Yeah, because I'd be in the same boat in Massachusetts, right? Yeah, he wouldn't have wanted to.
Uh,
But also too, I mean, no, he didn't personally write that Agenda 2025, but all of his friends did. Like 300 of his closest, allies did.
not quite
And
right. It. He's not. He's not like a smart man. He's not smart.
no,
He just has a lot of.
but
He's not smart.
no, I mean, he has his talents, I guess you'd call. I don't know. But the one thing that did strike me that stood out to me with that Agenda 2025 was wanting to get rid of how we monitor weather.
Yeah.
Getting rid of NOAA, getting rid of all disaster relief. And now here we are just hours away from this huge hurricane. And, it's hitting a red state.
Yep.
And Governor DeSantis is going to be begging for relief. He's a staunch MAGA guy. But yet he also wants to get rid of predicting storms and the relief that comes after. So
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It's honestly like wait, who's is it the president that's in charge of giving it? So if the president is in charge, Biden should say no.
right. But and that's the nice part about like Biden, and I think most Democrats is like they wouldn't do that.
About it. I don't know if I were the president, I might just think about it. I don't know.
You're right. I mean, the thing is, we have
the Republicans saying no. Honestly,
well, but they need to think, and maybe this will make some of them think twice, though, where, if they did vote for him, it would mean like you would have a president essentially saying no. You would have a president saying no, because we got rid of the NOAA system to monitor it, to tell you, and we're getting rid of the disaster. I mean, think about it. I mean, Obama had in place a pandemic plan. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things that 45 did was dismantle it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
know, and look at how that worked out.
Yep. Yep. And the number one thing now in the U.S. is probably the hurricanes and tornadoes is probably number one, and fires
Yeah.
number.
The
And
fires are out of control. It's scary.
yeah, in the West, yeah, in the West where I am. But hurricanes and tornadoes probably number one, and those are really all the red states. So
Right. Yeah, it's the red states that actually drain us the most of funds.
true.
And you would think that they would vote in their that's what the one thing I don't understand about people that vote Republican is that so many of them are on Medicare or Medicaid, they're on disability, they need these public funds,
Mhm.
and yet they vote for somebody that wants to abolish all of it. They
Yeah.
vote against their own interests, and I've talked to them, and it's like they're just going around and around, like, and they don't make
Well,
any sense whatsoever.
well, for example, I know someone who votes red, um, and they did not know what the electoral college was. So what I'm realizing is a lot of people that vote red are ignorant people, and they don't actually really know how the system works or facts or stuff that actually happen. They're they're ignorant to it.
Right. Yeah, because I've actually said to people, because I know one person on disability and one person that's on Medicare.
Mm,
And I've said to both of them, I said, you realize, 45 kept trying to get rid of both of those. He didn't mean it.
mm,
Well, if he doesn't mean what, because that's always their comeback. He doesn't mean it. Well, if he doesn't mean what he says, then what does he mean?
yeah, yeah. No,
Because he
that's
did try. He used to scare the hell out of me because I was taking care of a disabled brother and a sick mom.
yeah.
And it's like, and he kept saying he wanted to get rid of all these things. And it's like, it left me as a caregiver like, oh my gosh, can I come up with insurance for all three of us? And,
Yeah.
you know, and all the money. And like, but they vote against their own interests all the time, and it just makes no sense. And then they'll say something off the wall like, but the money's going towards immigrants. Well, no, you're actually getting a disability check, you are getting your social security, like that's you're getting that check.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's hard to reason with them.
yeah. Another thing that I noticed too, a strong trend, is that these individuals tend to be very much stuck in the past.
Absolutely, the good old days.
Hmm. Yeah,
They weren't good, they were just old.
yeah, yeah. And and they want something the way that it used to be, and they're trying to hold on to a picture of that, not realizing that that is actually never going to happen. That life is progression and change, and you're either going to go with
Right.
it or, but it's going to happen anyways. Change is going to happen anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to keep going forward, and just for everybody watching, I feel really like confident and optimistic about the future. Like I think
I,
things are going to get better.
hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
There's storms to be weathered, quite literally in some cases,
Oh yeah.
but it's going to get better. We're not going backwards. We're not going back to those good old days
Yeah.
where things weren't fair and equal and all that. We're not going back to that. We are, like you said, like when you talk about the age of Aquarius and going into like that energy. That's where I see us going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that, I mean, the astrology very much calls for that. The next 20, close to 25 years.
And I don't know about you, but I do see Kamala being a two-term president.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Hmm.
I do. Because I don't see us going backwards.
No.
Um, and I don't see somebody big emerging in the Republican Party because I think after this, I mean, I really think in the higher perspective of things, like 45's role was to sort of destroy the Republican Party and to make it like restructure itself. It wasn't working, it was broken, something needed to be fixed.
Uh-huh.
He broke it.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing too is, Pluto represents power. The power is
Mm.
going to be with the traditional structures anymore, as represented by Capricorn.
Right, right, right.
Hold that anymore. And we're going to see that more and more as Pluto goes more and more and more. We're going to slowly see that the next couple of years is that what once held power is not going to hold the power anymore.
Right, there'll be a huge shift. And like because I see all the memes with like us, going back to like the Handmaid's Tale type,
Yeah.
dystopian, sort of reality. And I really don't see that. I mean, I know there's always a possibility, but I think people are going to get out and vote, and I think they are going to do the right thing. And I think there's enough people that want us to move forward. I
Yeah.
don't think we should ever get complacent, but
Uh-huh.
I think there's enough of us that want to go forward that we do.
Yeah, and things like movements like the Tea Party and all these like radical movements that came are less likely to happen with Pluto and Aquarius.
Mm. So good things to come as we wait the storm. Because I know a lot of my viewers are anxious, and
Oh yeah.
because I didn't realize how many viewers I even had in Florida, but I got like a lot of emails and comments today, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so
And
yeah.
also for everyone again to understand, and Diane, I know you understand this too, right? That everything does happen for a reason, and it's not we haven't known about global warming, and it's not like the storms haven't gotten worse for the past 30 years, and it's not like this is a new thing. Um, and it's basically at a tipping point right now.
Right. And I just think there's going to be more and more of this. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when something is broken in our reality, in our third density reality, it keeps happening until we fix it.
Yeah,
And
yep.
so we're going to see more of these things happen until we fix it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe in 2 more weeks, Florida will get slammed again by a big one, or a week. I mean, who knows? Basically, Helene just happened. I mean, what was that like?
They haven't cleaned up. I mean, that's going to be part of the problem is the debris is still there.
Yeah,
Still.
and hit again. I mean, it's going through Tampa, which is a huge metropolitan area, and it's like, it's going through. It's starting to ravage like huge populations. I mean, I hate to say it, but I always see Miami being spared, and they're lucky because they're in the big, they're in the Atlantic Ocean where it's a little cooler, right? They're getting slammed.
Right, right.
Gulf is that much warmer, so it's that much more conducive to those big hurricanes. So Miami's lucky, but like, I keep thinking like, oh, Miami, it's just everything is just going around Miami, and I'm like, well, it's maybe just a matter of time, and that's a huge,
Right.
population
That's
area.
huge.
Huge. I
It's a
mean,
huge population.
Tampa's huge too.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah. And the MAGA people have even said that too, because like Miami has like a strong like Hispanic community, whereas Tampa they're saying is more white than there, and they're making this comparison as the Democrats are crafting these storms.
Well,
Um,
water
you
temperature.
know, it's like, yeah, it has nothing to do with water temperature, of course, but it's like they're being strategic about where it hits. And I'm like, oh Lord. But I will add though, the one thing I do think is, and I've had this feeling for a while, is the two states that have concerned me for like the next few months has been Florida and California.
Oh, as
When it
far as California, as far as
like,
like fires,
yeah, natural disasters.
fires and
Yeah, like earthquake, tsunamis, those kind of things.
yeah, I mean, where like California is not very tsunami prone, which is good.
I know, I
Which
know.
is good. Earthquakes, yeah, I mean, it's a big state, and every couple years there's a 6, 7 pointer somewhere. They tend to be a lot of times. I mean, like I'm in the Bay Area. We're like, I'm on a million
Right.
here. We're just like sitting around waiting. I mean, thank God there's a lot of retrofit around here, which is good. California is very retrofitted. Um,
Yep.
if there's going to be some disasters and some fires, but it's not going to be like a hurricane.
No, no. And I keep saying to us up in New England, it's a little odd that if we've gone this long without a real storm because like we didn't even get like we haven't even gotten a proper blizzard for a while. Never mind a hurricane because we do get hurricanes up here.
Uh-huh.
Um, and we should be getting big blizzards, but it's getting warmer, so we're not getting the big. Only one time did we have to shovel this whole winter where I live, and I'm north of Boston.
Wow.
So so it's like we're overdue in the New England area. So
Yeah.
um,
Is it a
it's
drought?
very strange.
I was there a couple years ago and a lot of the lawns were turning brown.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Mine here is.
Hmm.
Um, it's we're it's very strange. Our weather pattern has completely changed. And what's changed now too, like and tourists have to adjust because they all come here to see the leaves change. Well, if you're coming in October to see our leaves change like you used to say a decade ago, you're not seeing our leaves are green.
It's November now, or do they even?
It's like into November. Yeah, it's November and it's like, then we're getting our frost and but even still like last year, I really wasn't even wearing like a heavy coat and stuff. Like it really wasn't getting that
Oh,
cold like it should have been. And like I said, we got like that much snow. Like it was barely shovelable. And um because
wow.
like I said, like we're really overdue for a blizzard and a hurricane up here. But it's the weather patterns. I mean, climate change is real.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Let me see. Yeah, Giselle says I live in Connecticut and we have been so lucky as well with no bad storms and blizzards. Yeah, it's been very strange in New England.
Wow.
Like where we're hardy people and our buildings are kind of made for this stuff. Like we're made for all this. But then we're getting weird things like last year for the first time, we had like two, yeah, two tornado watches. And there actually were tornadoes where I live.
Oh, that's kind of
Um,
scary. They're happening that far north. Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, it was right before I moved here, so it was just like slightly south of Boston, but we don't get tornadoes but they actually did touch down for real and like we had a shelter in place. And I didn't even know what to do because I'm almost 50 years old and I have never had a tornado watch. I
And
was like,
so
Googling it.
you don't have like one of those underground shelters. No.
We don't do that here.
Yeah.
That's not a big problem here.
Uh-huh.
It's very strange. Like,
That's scary.
um, right, but the Democrats are not doing it, is the bottom line.
No, I don't think. Yeah, no.
All right, well, we should wrap this up. Um, Anything you want to add before we go?
Well, I just want to say hi to everybody. And yeah, and again, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe.
Yes.
I post about a video a day on just interesting political topics.
Wow.
Topics. Um, yeah, so my videos are quite
Nice.
Mhm.
And you do readings, and I know you do personal readings too.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm offering all types. So I do a natal chart reading. So those are birth chart readings of either you
Hmm.
or someone else. I also offer transit chart. So those are the planets that are transiting either past, present, or future in relation to the birth chart. And those are really good if you have any questions about any aspect of life, or if you're interested in like timing with things. When should I do that?
Mm.
A good time for this. I also do astrocartography, which is really interesting. Yeah, so that basically map of the whole world, and then certain lines
Right.
zone in the world. So there are certain aspects, there are certain things that are highlighted part of the world. So if you're interested in travel or relocation, uh,
Yes.
then I also offer
That fascinates me. Not to interrupt, but like I just found out like that even existed a couple of months ago.
yeah,
And I just find that whole thing so interesting how our astrology affects like where we live on the planet. And
yep, yep.
that I find that amazing, and not all astrologers do it. I found out too.
Yeah, no, not all. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a study within itself, astrochart.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course I offer relationship compatibility charts.
Mm,
Yeah, a solar return chart,
gotcha.
lunar return charts. If you know what those are generally people ask questions about those who are kind of already into astrology. So yeah, pretty
Right.
much. I mean,
That's a lot.
uh-huh.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Adam, for being here tonight. And, let's just all, hold Florida in love and light as, I think they're, going to hit in a couple of hours. And so, yeah, back with everybody tomorrow. All right. All right, everybody. Have a good night. See you later.